From February through July of this year, I pursued a long-time dream: to capture the stories of traditional artisans around the world who are both preserving their cultural heritages and making them new. Compelled by their narratives, by the organizations and leaders who've made their work possible, and by the cultures they represent, I've compiled a series of vignettes that I share with you here through photographs, videos, and written accounts. I hope they'll educate, inspire, and bring awareness to how we can support the keepers of our cultural riches. My trip and the sharing of these stories has been guided largely by two long-term motivations. First, to build an understanding and compassion around the rich tapestry of global cultures that are rapidly changing, and challenge us to consider how they should evolve as we continue to modernize. Second, to better educate and engage consumers around how their purchasing behaviors may affect these cultures and the people's lives and environments therein. To be conscious of the cultures that we are creating through our own actions. I've focused on the makers of traditional craft and artifact due in part to my personal passion for the arts, but also because these people are among the most important keepers of culture and wisdom that our communities have. Their success depends on the willingness of consumers to value their trade, to invest in their futures, and to care about their stories. In my travels, I was propelled by several questions. Who are the practitioners of our traditional cultures through the arts? What are their lives like? What do their futures hold? What is needed to avoid the loss of their trade? What's being done already and what remains to be done? Should we let their work fall away, be absolved into history, modernize, and move on? What would we really lose if we do? In the stories on my blog, I've tried to share my discoveries to these questions. I was moved deeply by accounts from one of the last evil eye makers in Turkey, from the San women of the Kalahari pursuing livelihoods from a long-standing beading tradition, from the artisans of southern India who are bringing their trade to the younger, less fortunate populations. Ultimately, I learned that at the center of any effort to preserve the heritage arts are people, the artisans themselves, and their ability to provide for family, serve as respected members in their communities, and fulfill their visions of a bright future. In places where carrying on the arts enriches these people's lives and their families, it will live on. Though my primary motivation was to document the artisans and their communities, I was also deeply inspired by the work of individuals and organizations I chronicled on the road for the United Nations Development Program and the Yale World Fellows Program, two media projects I took on to help subsidize my trip. I found that the context of their work, to preserve the environment, help rural populations access capital, build a moral compass in their communities, enriches the cultural dialogue I hope to achieve. I've included many of their stories here as well. I'm grateful for the people that I met, for their candor and hospitality, for their warmth. I'm grateful to my employer for granting a sabbatical so that I could pursue my travels. I'm grateful for the support of my family and friends who have believed in my vision and quelled my doubts. And I am grateful to the people who will choose to engage with this content and share it with others. As it becomes increasingly clear to me how interconnected and dependent we are around the world, my long-term goal is to join a movement in igniting our collective conscience, asking the question together of where we are going and how we want to use our resources and treat each other to get there. We each play a role in that vision. I invite your thoughts, curiosities, and questions to help shape a dialogue around what those roles are now and what they could be.